Doing rear brakes on a 2016 Jeep Grand Cherokee. I pulled the wheel off. I kind of sprayed some penetrating oil inside here, you know, in the lugs here and around here. There's a little rubber O-ring here that needs to pop off. Take a little screwdriver and pop that off. But here's the caliper. On the rotor, I'm not changing the caliper, I'm changing the pads, and I'm changing the rotor. So how to do that is if you look right on the other side of the rotor, you can kind of barely see, but I'll try to get a light in there. See that nut right there? That one down inside there. That one. And there's one just like it further down. Yeah, that nut right there. It's a bolt. And then if you go look down farther, there's another one right there. Right there. So those are the two bolts you'll want to take out. They're 18 millimeter. And the top one, we use kind of a longer deep socket, and then the short one, the bottom one, we'll use the short socket. And we'll just put them on there, break it loose, and then we'll be able to wiggle this off, okay? And here's the setup that I have here. So I just got a socket in here, a deep socket, and then a ratchet that has a swivel on it, and then you pull it down. Watch your line. This is your brake line, so you don't want to unhook that, but you should just be able to get it loose like that. Okay, and then you can take this back out and then probably take it all off by hand. So that's what I'll end up doing. And then I already got the bottom, I just got the bottom one loose too. And I don't know if I can really show that one very well, but it's right down there. Once you break them loose, they're usually loose. Take the whole thing out, just like that. It's a fine thread bolt, as you can see. Set that aside, and I'll pull, once I broke this loose, I'm gonna pull this out. Okay, it's kind of hard to get in there, but you can get it. And then I'm gonna wiggle in here with my hands. I don't know if you can really kind of see any of that, but just kind of turn it out with my thumb. And there we go. It is almost out. There we go. Just like that. Then this caliper will be loose. Just like that. And you just kind of pull it off. And don't unhook the line or anything. Don't break the line. But here's why I'm changing mine. You can see that the brake pad is shot right down to almost right down to the metal. So, and you can see it's all rusted and rotted and back. So we'll end up changing all that. Now we got to try to get this off. Now this is going to be proven to be a little harder to do. I believe the emergency brake is inside the hub. Okay. And then you got to kind of, if you tap on it here to kind of break it loose, we'll see if I can get that thing to come off. Usually use like a mallet, like a dead blow mallet or something, but you can also use a hammer. But we'll see. I have a feeling these are going to be really hard to get off as far as being stuck on there. But remember, pull this O-ring off first. Okay, we'll see how I do. Okay, so like I said, I sprayed my penetrating oil inside the gaps of the studs and then around the hub. Now, I'm not going to be reusing this, nor do I recommend anybody really reusing them. So what I'm doing now, I would normally use a dead blow mallet, but it's really on there. So I'm actually using a hammer and it's actually starting to come off. Now, this took me a bit to do this. So let's, I'll continue on here. Well, now it's not going to turn because remember there's brakes in there. So you won't be able to do this really one-handed, I guess. I am going to turn this and I'm going to whack on it again. My hammer. See, it's coming off. So you really got to get two hands on there so I can pull on one side and tap on the other. Because you're not gonna, after you get this kind of bound up a little bit, this is gonna be really hard to turn. You don't want to damage the studs. So I'm gonna continue at it, and you kind of got the idea of what I'm doing. It's kind of taken me a little bit to do, I'm gonna say. So I will show you when I'm off. All right, so like I said, I was tapping it here and pulling it over here, and if it went too far, I'd tap it back in as I'm pulling this. So you kind of walk it off. And as I took this off, I will take this off now. There's the emergency brake. Now, here's the shoes for the emergency brake. This shoe is right here. Was delaminated. Okay, so now I'm going to have to change shoes on the back of this because I can't leave that in there. You know, I can't do it like that. So I will have to do that too. Doing like this is a drum brake. So doing drum brakes is a little bit different than doing disc. I see the design is a little bit different than what they used to be, but I still see that they're similar. Just some springs. You got to unhook, then you got to hook this pin here. Here's your adjuster, spring for the adjuster. You'll want to adjust that back in, and then this will come out. That's what I got. Okay, so I slid the rotor on. You do not have to put the rubber O-ring back on. That's just for manufacturing. If you take the rotor apart like I did, odds are you're going to probably damage the emergency brake shoes like I did. There's actually, in the back here, there's a rubber plug. I don't know if I can really see it, but it's right there. If you pop that plug out, you can get a special tool that'll reach in there, and you spin the star wheel there that brings the shoes back, tightens them up, or brings them in. I don't have that tool, so I had to do what I did. So then rebuilding the e-brake was what I had to do. That's going to be a different video. Right now I'm just doing the regular discs. So, so I put my rotor on, and in this case I went slotted and drilled, and they actually mark them rear passenger side. The other one obviously says rear driver side. That's important because of the way these are angled and slotted. So we want to make sure that that's on the right side. Then we come and look at our brake pads. These are pads. Inside here will be shoes. These are pads. So as you can see, my pads were rubbing on the rotor, and that's one reason I wanted to change it. But they've all come apart in the back. So this fell out, right? So now inside here, this piece right there, I got to get that out. So I think a screwdriver, and I can pry it out. It's just a spring clip, okay? And then is what I'll do is I'll slide these out. And I'll probably just, my hands get kind of dirty here, but I can just use a screwdriver to kind of pry those out, okay? So it's kind of hard to do one-handed, but you get the idea, okay? Now, once that's out, like that, see this pad isn't as bad, but it's bad. Then I'm going to take this off, and this is just a kind of like a spring, but I have the hardware for it, so I'm going to pull this out too. And then I will slide this all back together. I'm going to take a large channel lock, and I'm going to clamp it on here and here, and I'm going to squeeze it. Now I'm going to squeeze it slowly, very slowly, and slowly let that piston come back in all the way till the bottom's out. That way, when you put your pads in, you can get your rotor back on. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm having a hard time one-handed, and I'll show you as I go. Okay, like I said, I just popped those out. I popped that spring clip off with a screwdriver, and then I'm going to take some large channel locks. I'm going to grab it like I said, and I'm just going to squeeze it. I don't know if I'll be able to do this all one-handed, but you just kind of squeeze it. And nice and slow. As you can see, that's going in. So you just take your time on it. Don't want to squish all that out in the wrong spot. We just want to make sure it. Okay. That's what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of clean up that surface a little bit. This is going to go where the pads sit. Okay, so now I've got the pads in. Piston I already pushed all the way back. Now I should have enough gap here to put it on the rotor. As you can see, there's my grease. Got that on both sides. Some brakes, not this car, but other brakes have like metal pieces you could put in here, kind of like slides they put in on each side. This particular one isn't that way, but some disc brakes are that way. So now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this up like that. I'm going to line up the holes and bolt it in. Okay, so there it is. I got the bolts, the two bolts tight, and that's all there is to it. That's your disc brake setup. Now, another important part, these are all ceramic, so the pads need to be broke in. Follow the manufacturer's recommendation on how to break those in. Like for example, this one, I gotta go 5 times. I gotta get up to 45 miles an hour and brake hard to 10 miles an hour. I gotta do that 5 times. Then I've gotta do the same thing from 35 miles an hour to 5 miles an hour. I believe 5 times. And then I gotta drive around without hitting the brakes, or very minimal, for a while. I can't remember if it's 10 minutes or something like that. I don't know, 15 minutes. Anyway, whatever it is, to help cool the brakes down. And then they should be good to go. That way, that'll help prevent any spots happening, hot spots, any weird things happening with the pads. Make sure that they all go together. So now I just got to put the wheels on. We'll take it for a ride. One more thing I want to note is that when you first hit the brakes, after you've pushed the pistons back in the calipers, the first time you hit the brakes, they're going to seem soft, but you hit them again and they should be right there. So I'm going to go test drive it now, And that should be it.